But Happy New Year, everybody. This is the video I've been telling you about when things got real. So I'm gonna share that with you guys. You can probably look at me if you've been following me for a while, or if you know me at all in person, you can look at me and see that things got real. Things changed a lot. So go ahead and get your popcorn or get your skincare together, because that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to do a face mask while I'm talking to y'all. So go ahead and pause this if you need to, if need be. Get yourself together and we can do this together. But yeah, be right back. Hey, I'm Lacey. This is my life. Intentional. Singing and dancing and acting and stuff. Welcome to my channel. Lace up, cause here we go. Okay, so I have makeup to take off. The situation that I'm about to tell you about, I was under a lot of stress, a lot of hurt and pain and just confusion, and I don't want to call it depression because I mean, if that's the word you want to use, that's fine, but I'm gonna call it a season, because it was definitely a season that I went through, things that I learned. When we go through these things, we're supposed to be strengthening. I feel like when we go through things that are hard for us, there are lessons in them. And we can look at it negatively and stay in that place, or we can find the lesson and learn and elevate. So, and then I have to remember, we all should remember that when we go through certain things, sometimes we put ourselves in those places. It's not always where God wants us to be. Sometimes we do that to ourselves because we didn't listen or we didn't take heed to a warning. And, you know, destruction comes before a fall. If you read the Bible, that's what it says. So, yeah, things got real crazy, real fast. I think it took maybe a month for things to get crazy. I went from one job to another, and it was actually a better job. And I ended up getting into a place where I couldn't keep that job, and we're about to get into that. So, let me go ahead and get all my skincare stuff out, honey, because we're gonna brush our teeth and get everything together. I should have been prepared. Okay. So I'm gonna get started making my little face mask. I'm using the good old what do you call this stuff? Aztec Secret clay mask, Indian healing clay mask. Yeah. So, are y'all doing the are y'all gonna be doing the 21 day fast? I am. You can do it with me if you need somebody to encourage you and do it with, because God has taught me about intentionality. Anyway, so we're working on consistency over here, which is why I'm asking you guys, because you're going to see a lot more of me. And I know I've said that so many times. And some of my friends be like, girl, you pop in and you just pop out. Folks forget. You can't, you know. So anyway, well, I'm her now. I'm here now, baby. I bet you can't comment below what movie that cadence comes from. But anyway, I'm going to be doing the 21 day fast with my church. And also we're going to be starting the Bible readings. And usually I like to do it by myself, because I feel like I always do it every year with my church. Sometimes I want to do it myself so I can take my time. Because when you do it with the church, it's like you got to read this many pages a day, right? And sometimes you're rushing or trying to get it done just, you know, so you don't get behind. Because with the Bible readings, once you get behind, can we pause for a second so I can catch up? And, you know, there's no pause. So, because you got the whole congregation to think about. And then that's extra reading for you to do. So, consistency is where I'm going to be. But yeah, so if y'all want to if y'all need somebody to do that with, I will be doing those things. If y'all need some details, let me know. Just comment below that you want details on it, and I will send you links. I'll post them or whatever I gotta do to make sure everybody is covered that wants to join me. Or if you have your own church, tell me what y'all do. Comment that below. You know, maybe I'm missing out on something that I need to learn about. But anyway, so, oh my gosh, this is so hard to say because I never thought I would be in this situation. And a lot of it, so basically when you're someone who's trying to make it, right? You're trying to get somewhere in this industry, especially as a singer, because everybody up in here, right? There's a lot of singers out there. There's a lot of talented people out there. And everybody wants in. So everybody's clicked up. Everybody's got their own little group. And for me, after the whole Taylor Swift tour thing, I kind of became more of a loner. And what y'all are hearing is me mixing this mask up with this water. But anyway, I became kind of a loner because, and I know some of y'all like, I hope she's not using a wood spoon, metal. I'm not. I have my little brush that I put it on with. I apply it with. I'm using the end of it. You'll see it once I start doing that. But, you know, everybody's trying to get in. Everybody's trying to make it. So with me, my whole focus was on that. I think what happened was after the whole Taylor Swift thing, and I just felt so low after that. No matter how many jobs or what jobs I got after that, I just felt like, how can you give so much of yourself to people or a person, not really a person, people, and do the very best you can do for those people, and they still get at you, like, for no reason. They still feel like they gotta have you down here so they can elevate. And I don't think I ever really got over that. So I was trying everything in my power, because I felt like, I guess at that point, okay, God knows what I want to do, and I know I'm doing everything he says, and I'm seeing people who aren't caring about his word at all, and they seem to be doing so well. So I was like, well, maybe I got to do this myself. Not necessarily saying that God won't do it or isn't doing it or haven't, you know, won't do it or hasn't done it, you know, hasn't done it, won't do it, you know, or doesn't want to. That's what I was trying to get at. It's not saying that. It was just like, okay, maybe I'm not working hard enough. Maybe I'm not doing the things I need to do. And I was kind of leaning to my own understanding. As you know, in the Bible, God says, lean not to your own understanding. Because once we start doing that, then we start coming up with reasons why we should be able to do this. And we start not necessarily using wisdom, because the Bible also talks about seeking counsel. So sometimes you need to, once you get to a certain level, sometimes you need to ask questions, because we don't have all the answers, and we like to think we do oftentimes, and we don't want to be told anything. And I was kind of in that place where it's like, no, I want to show that I can do it, right? Because I had done so well when it was just me listening to God, right? So when I felt like he wasn't doing anything, it was like, okay, I got to do this. I got to keep going. I can't let anything stop me. I'm too close, you know. So I started doing that, but then I also started listening to other people, and they were like, well, while you're doing that, you need a stable job. You need this, you need that. You need to do it like this. You need to wear that. So exhausting listening to other people, and I hadn't done that before. Everything I did before was me one-on-one with God, strengthening my relationship with him, learning his voice, and really, this might need to be a little thicker. And really going that way. And everything came out beautifully. I'm talking everything I ever prayed for. God was checking the list like this. And this time, I think he was like, I think it was my Job season. And he was just quiet. You could still hear his voice. You know what I mean? Like, he wasn't quiet to the point where he wasn't guiding me anywhere, because he's always guiding us, right? He was just quiet to the point of, I need you to listen. I need you to be still and let me do this. I need you, because my prayer is always, God, I want to be going the way you want me to go. Like, I don't want to step out on my own and then end up messing up when I don't have to. And I think I'm just trying so hard to do it the way that I saw it was working that things just went downhill. I'm just trying so hard to do it the way that I saw it was working that things just went downhill. And I mean, with all that happening, I was in a 3-year friendship, and I wasn't really saving any money the way I typically, like, everything was just opposite of what, the fruit of my relationship with God and doing the things that I know I should be doing. So at this time, I was working a job that I was just miserable at, and this was all during the pandemic. I was completely miserable. God kept saying, you need to do this, you need to do that. And I guess I felt like I wasn't good enough to do those things, which is also, funny enough, the same reason that I never got into gospel music. I got into it spiritually, but like, as far as like singing it, I never felt I was good enough. Like, I felt like, no, singing gospel, you gotta be the thing. Like, you gotta be the one, you know, you gotta be extra anointed. You gotta have that voice. And I didn't feel like I had that voice. And I don't know if y'all have been following me long enough. Like, I sing all the time. I do think I've had jobs. I've done so much. But I don't know if y'all have noticed, I've never had an album out. Take that in, right? I've never had an album out, but I always hear and feel like a pull to minister. Not in a way where it's like I'm a pastor, because that's a different calling, but singing wise, I've always felt that, even since Dance War. Those of you who know about that, I try not to mention that show too much, but those of you who know me know that show. And so anyway, I always felt a calling for that. There was even a friend of mine who, his name is Isaac. He used to record me when I was going to SAE. And one night he just called me randomly. He was asking me, would you ever want to sing gospel? And I was like, yeah, but just not right now. But when I said yes, but not right now, I felt, girl, do it. Like, I felt in my heart, it was like, you need to do that. But in my mind, I was like, nah, I'm close. But every single time I got with someone who was supposed to be helping me with music, it was a lot of selfishness involved. And I'm not gonna put any names out there, but it was a lot of, well, first of all, a few people were like trying to be more than just a producer, but the ones that were helping me, they just became very, very, very selfish, or they became too busy, or the other people they were helping was like, you're too invested in this person, you need to be invested in me. Just a whole lot of stuff. And I mean, I may get a song out every few years, which is just not, come on, that's not doing anything for anybody. That's a waste of money, to be honest with you. Even the last person who I worked with didn't charge me at all. I still barely got anything done. We got a lot of music done, but we didn't get anything finished, because for me, when the mixtures were happening, they weren't up to par for me. The last person who was helping me before everything, during everything transpiring, which they didn't know because I didn't tell them until after it happened. They're an artist as well, so they were doing their thing. And you know, when you're trying to help yourself and you have a vision of something, you're going to get it done. And when you're trying to help somebody else, sometimes for yourself, you have to push those people to the back and wait for your thing to finish before you can help anybody else. That happened too. And then when things slowed down for that person, they started more helping me with things. But even in the helping me with things, a lot of it was about what they wanted to do. And then things ended up transpiring to where I am now. And it just, it ended up not completing its course. However, we did get some things done that I'm hoping can be finished, but it's not up to me. Honestly, I'm at this point where I just want God to do. God, do your thing. Tell me where to go, I will go. Call on me, I won't answer. You know what I mean? I want him to choose everything for me. Be my decision maker. Father, I don't want to get in the way. I want to stay in your will. And then I want, as I get strengthened I want to hear your voice so I know what decisions to make. And he's been very vocal. He reminds me of the the saying I've been using lately, where people will be like, where are you at? Or I can feel that type of vibe from somebody. And I would just tell them, listen, I'm being quiet, but I'm not silent. And what I mean by that is I'm not saying a lot, but I am working in the background. I am doing things. Musically right now, things are on pause. Not that anything else will ever come out. But God's got me in a place where he is just like molding me, honey. The potter is at work. And so anyway, what ended up transpiring is I ended up homeless. Yes, I said it. Yep. A place I never thought I would be in. And the crazy part about it is it really wasn't even, a lot of it was because of the things I just mentioned, but then also, like I said, I was trying to do things on my own, wasn't listening to nobody, not necessarily not listening to anyone, but it was, I was trying so hard to get a hold to this thing before this moment passed, and that I couldn't once again get anything completed. So, sorry y'all, the battery died. But so my objective to all of that was try to stay in the mix this time. Don't go in your shell. It was really hard for me to come out of my shell, and it's been years, since that tour, but I'm telling you, and I'm the kind of person that, I even told my sister, and she was like, what you mean you're a loner? When you become a loner? You're like, what? She was, it's like a confusing thing to people that know me, because that's who I am. I'm so outgoing. I'm friendly. You see me in the store, I'm talking to everybody. Like, it's just who I am, right? So I was trying not to be the person that went in the shell anymore, and just stay in the mix. And then I also love to I love treating people well, right? And I love, and when I see them with the vision, I want to help them with their project. So I stayed around longer to help someone else out. And that person really wasn't looking out for me. Like, they were trying to offer me a spot to live, but then they ended up wanting that spot, and then for themselves, and then they ended up talking to somebody else about that spot as well, and then they offered me a room in their spot, and then something else transpired, and just like all this stuff happened. It's like, okay, I'm learning the lesson that I give and give and give and give and give to people, and I just genuinely feel like I want to help and love people, but at the same time, they're not that type of person, so they're not doing the same thing. And for me, I don't do anything for people to get anything back, but after a while, people that are genuinely big about giving of themselves, they notice when that's not reciprocated, right? So in noticing that, you notice that so many times, and for me, it's been years, right, where I noticed that a lot about people, and it's a boiling over type situation, or a pressure pot type situation, where it's like you're taking it and realizing it's easy for you to be dumped in, a way, opposed to, someone being as helpful as you are. And like, after a while, it becomes like, wait a minute, what am I, chopped liver? You know what I'm saying? Like, especially when you see that it can be done, because you see people doing it, these very same people doing it for others. It's like, okay. And then after a while, that pressure just wants to come out, right? So, but anyway, all that being said, that was one of my reasons for staying behind. The other one is I really couldn't do anything because I had just switched income into a different direction, which was way better. And, time where I was living was running out, because it was like, okay, things have to be done over here. And this isn't me talking without giving away everybody else's business. But things had to be done over here, so decisions had to be made quickly. And because I was so determined to figure this thing out, and honestly, wisdom was like, you gonna have to let this go because of your situation, but it's not like God can't help you over here, right? And I always pray for wisdom because sometimes honestly, most of these things you can't do it by yourself. You need God. And then the Bible itself tells you to seek counsel and don't lean to your own understanding. Like, so many times he's saying you need to ask for help. You need to ask if this is the way you should be going. You need to ask for direction. You need to ask for prayer. You need to ask, right? But this time I was just so determined to make it happen that I was like, nah, Like I feel that, not necessarily even feel, it was like I can see this happening, right? So you're trying to hold on to this thing that God is clearly saying let go of, or you're going to be in trouble, right? And then things could have been prevented on the other side of it, but like I said, this isn't to expose people or make anybody look bad or tell anybody's business. This is about my side of it. So this is my side that was controllable. The other part was not controllable, and it did kind of bring me down a little bit to the point where I just didn't even want to talk to anybody. Like I was just like, who can I trust? You know what I'm saying? But God worked on that, and that's fixed. So we're gonna work on the side that I could control. The side that I could control was following what I was hearing, following the wisdom that God had given me from other people who were wise enough to say, hey, this may not be what you need to do. And I know you don't like it. I know you hate it, but you may need to go this way for a little bit, sit still, and let God actually help you because you're about to run into trouble. So I didn't do that. No, I was like, nah, because I can see God's potential over here. I believe in myself now. Like I'm not gonna keep letting people push me down and keep me in one spot. So I went that way, and I'm gonna say it was by choice because there was another choice. It just wasn't the choice that I wanted. So I ended up in my truck for months, and actually God actually it's another thing. Okay, so this is like, okay, this part is really crazy to me because there was someone in high school that I had a crush on, right? And I had a huge crush on this person, but for some reason, I kept being pulled away from them. And it was by my friends who were like, no, he's not good enough for you. But in my mind, I always wondered. And then like 3 other times we just met randomly in life. We met back up like 3 or 4 random times. And it was always like, man, I want to know more about this person. And this is someone who actually used to like me. So he kind of professed his feelings for me. And then later on, he told me why my friends were like that. Because he was kind of a ladies' man back in high school, which I didn't know anything about that because I was a new girl. But anyway, he is definitely someone I would not want to reach out for help in this situation because I would have to say I have nowhere to go. And that's embarrassing. So, but anyway, woo child. I was able, like, God finally strengthened me in that situation. And I'll tell you more about this person later in a different video because it has nothing to do with this, except for this part where he was actually someone that was able to help me a lot. Real quick, y'all, I want to insert this part right here. And I know some of y'all are noticing the blemishes on my face. They are back. The whole ordeal that I was speaking about caused me to actually break out with eczema, and it left like very dark mark. It looks like I don't wash my neck when I do, and I have it all down my chest. I had a huge breakout, and I just, you know, when I'm nervous, I told y'all before, I pick. So, but anyway, I got a hang of it then, and I'm gonna get a hang of it again. Hello, amen. I was at the point where I wasn't even wearing makeup. Finally, and now we back here. But okay, but I wanted to insert right here that out of all the people God could have put in my heart to get help from, it's somebody who I actually have been into my entire life, like since high school. So, wow, like he'll really see if you gonna be about it. Like you about this life with me or not. But, and honestly, if I wasn't obedient to him, I would have been very uncomfortable, like more than I already was. So I'm so grateful for God doing that and just removing the fear for a little bit. And also moving in the heart of my friend to help me. So shouts out to you, you know who you are, and thank God. Anyway, back to it. When it came to that situation, so God was looking out for me in my situation, even though I was the one that made the bad choice, even though, well, I was kind of forced into that choice by the other side of it, but I still could have done something else, and that something else would move back home, back to my hometown in Jackson, Mississippi, which I did not want to do. Things were starting to look up in some areas, so I was like, maybe this is God saying, no, you can stay here, keep going, and I'll get you out of this. But the bills didn't want to wait for that. My truck payments didn't want to wait for that. My hunger did not want to wait for that. Things like that where they were piling up, and God was like, daughter, you're not listening to me. You're leaning to your own understanding. And while I thought I had things under control, that was me. That was all me. It wasn't God. Because God is not the author of confusion, right? Why am I so not, like, why am I going through this? Why aren't things doing better? Like, why am I not in a better spot? When God is in something, it's not always easy, but there's fruit to be had. There's fruit to gain. There is a little bit of smoothness in it. There are answers to be given. You're not going to just be stuck, and you're not going to be in the situation I was in, right? Because there's an order to everything. That also is in the Bible. God is a God of order, right? So the wisdom he had given me by few people was to make this transition. I can do it there. And I promise y'all, I heard that so many times up here. Why are you so scared? And then he even gave me Deion Sanders as an example. And I'm like, yeah, but it's Mississippi. That's like to me, that represented failure. Because why am I going back home? That's where I came from. I made it to a sold out Madison Square Garden. Why am I going back home to fix my life? Why? Why is this happening? Right? And God, it just got to the point where God was like, ma'am, you either do this or, because there was honestly a night where it was so cold outside that I wasn't sure. I didn't know. I didn't know what I was waking up to or at all. I had no idea. There were nights or mornings where I would wake up and my legs would be so swollen from being in my car too long. I don't know what that effect is in the car, like why that happens, other than, I guess circulation not pumping through it. Well, I don't know. I mean, I did some kind of research, but I don't remember everything verbatim. Maybe I'll talk about it in a different video. But there were things, like there was a point where I would go to the same few stores, because, in the middle of the night, sometimes you got to get up and use the bathroom, right? Where I'm going to do that at, if I'm sleeping in my truck, right? And some of y'all know, like when I used to do shows, I would make donations. Like I would ask for donations for the homeless. It was just something that I felt to do. And I've always had a heart for people who are truly homeless, who need, especially women. Because you got to think about it, when they're on their cycle, what they gonna do, right? They need help. So I would like pack wipes and underwear and pads and, things like that in the female bags and pass those out. But anyway, there was a point in my life where I was like, am I doing this because this may happen to me? Like, why am I so invested in this cause? But I understand more and more what the truly homeless people, what they go through. But yeah, so there was one store that I would go to in the middle of the night, and it would be often, and the guy would just be looking at me like, why does this girl always in the same girl every night? Like, something wrong with this. And I could just see it on his face. So I would like try to break it up and go to different stores. But anyway, all that to say, it got to a point where I finally had to start telling people. I finally had to start telling my family, and they were like, ma'am, why didn't you I offered you this. Why didn't you take it? For me, because it's in Mississippi and I didn't want to go there. Felt like failure. Like, I mean, I started getting dance gigs again. Oh my gosh. I'm talking dance gigs galore, honey. I was getting singing offers. I was getting project offers. I was reaching out to people who I hadn't talked to in a little while. They were like, girl, yeah, come on. I'm like, I'm so confused. Like, should I leave or should I stay in the situation that I'm in? But things got so hectic and so terrible to the point where I was about to lose my truck, honey. And wisdom just said no. My niece called and she started calling. She told me that they had gotten on the collective call together. And everybody was like, I don't know what she's doing, but I need somebody to talk to her. And they know I love my niece. And I know that my niece has my best interest at heart when it comes to things like that. Because I sort of helped, in her life when she was an itty bitty little thing. So she remembers me, and we're basically best friends, but with the line. And anyway, so she got to me, and she was like, well, you can't keep doing this. I love you too much. You were here for me. I'm gonna be here for you. Like, it was to the point where we were looking for homes to live together and just all this stuff. Like, she really had my back. And then at one point, when things got to the point where I just, like, my car battery died, I couldn't get any help from anyone. They're towns away. Like, they lived in Hendersonville, and I was in Mount Juliet and Tennessee, for those of you who are not from that area or Tennessee. And they came all the way over there and was like, this has to change. You may need to take the offer that you were given and work your way back. And it's not saying that you can't come back here, but right now, wisdom says you need to do this. And it was just confirmation after confirmation after confirmation. But I mean, I rode hard for the things I wanted to do. I rode till the wheels fell off. And I'm not upset with that. I don't like that I had to go that direction, or I thought I had to go that direction, especially when I heard God in the background being like, you finna be out. Like, this is not good. You're about to walk yourself into destruction because you're not listening. And you're trying to do this yourself instead of the way I'm giving it to you. And you're not listening. I'm sorry, y'all. This battery keeps dying. It is exhausted. I'm trying to charge it while I do this. So I need to hurry up real quick. But getting to the point, if we cast our cares upon God and wait for him and really choose wisdom, choose God, put God first, and stop leaning to our own understanding, things will work out just fine. And I have a few scriptures that I want to give out real quick. It says, but seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things will be given to you. When he's speaking of these things will be given to you, or the things, the desires of your heart. And this is Matthew 6:33. And there was another thing. Do you not know? Have you not heard? The Lord is the everlasting God, the creator of the ends of the earth. He will not grow tired or weary, and his understanding no one can fathom. It's like, honestly, he can do what it is you want him to do, but you need to be wise. You need to hear his voice, and you need to follow it. And his voice was telling me to come here. He's not going to grow tired of me constantly asking for, the things that I want. He's not going to be weary because I'm asking, and he's not going to just leave me hanging. All I have to do is follow him, and he's got my back, right? And it says, the Lord is good to those whose hope is in him, to the one who seeks him. It is good to wait quietly for the salvation of the Lord. That's Lamentations 3:25-26. And there's one that says, but you must return to your God, maintain love and justice, and wait for your God always. So many good scriptures that shows that God has our back. And this one, yet the Lord longs to be gracious to you. He longs to be gracious to you. Therefore, he will rise up to show you compassion. For the Lord is a God of justice. Blessed are all who wait for him. That's Isaiah 30:18. And then it says, your word is a lamp for my feet and a light on my path. That's Psalms 119:105. And then this is Ephesians 3:20. Y'all know this one. Now to him who is able to do immeasurably more than all we ask or imagine, according to the power that is at work within us. So God's got us. Stop leaning to your own understanding. Seek counsel. Stop worrying about somebody saying, no, this ain't what God got for you. Line up what they're saying with the word of God, right? So when he's saying, people used to say this saying all the time, and I think they used to get it wrong, but it used to be like, test God, try, but it's not necessarily try God, but test out what he's saying. And I'm going to tell y'all something that I did, because I wanted so badly to have a relationship with God that I was like, okay, let me see if you really love me. Let me see if you really want me. And it's not necessary to get anything. It was more of, I want to know your voice. And I want us to have a connection where I can talk directly to you and not necessarily always have to go to somebody else, because people aren't going to be available all the time, right? So when I got the Taylor Swift tour, that was a prayer that I said only to God. My mama didn't know. My pastor, who actually is my mama PK, actually my mom, she didn't know. I didn't tell nobody. I said, God, I'm not going to anyone else. I am talking to you. I want to know that we are connected. And when I tell y'all, he gave me everything I asked for, one thing after the other. It's not even a joke. It was even one point where I was like, God, if Beyonce does a tour, and I won't say all my stuff, but I didn't want to wear the type of clothes that she was wearing on tour. And part of my prayer was, if that doesn't change, and I don't want that. Let me tell you, I auditioned for the Beyonce Experience, heard the people saying, that's one of the ones right there. And then the person who could have given me the yes you know how God hardened the heart of Pharaoh? This person says she's too short. When the Beyonce Experience came out, there was a short girl on that tour, not much shorter than me. That was God's protection. And I you know, you can easily take things like that personally, right? Don't take this stuff personally. Sometimes, like, I completely forgot about a lot of things I prayed. 100%. So when they started happening, God reminded me of my prayer. I was like, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I remember that day so vividly, to the point where I remember around that time, my friend, one of my friends, his name is Andreas Boyle, who's a great songwriter and artist as well. He actually made the switch over into Christian or contemporary, however he wants to say it, music. I remember having a stronger relationship with him back in that day. That's how vividly I remember it. I remember looking down at the hardwood floor that was in my room. It was like a dark cherry color. Like, I remember that house. I remember that window looking out and I see 2 foxes running across the yard. Like, I remember that so vividly. And at the time, I was auditioning for Dreamgirls, right? I remember Kiara Sheard actually coming to audition. I don't know what part she was auditioning for, but I remember seeing her there and I wanted to go and talk to her so badly. And I didn't, because I didn't want to overcrowd her. But anyway, that's all that to be said. Sometimes we have to let go of the things we think are for us, so that God can guide us to the things that are for us. Now, have I made it to that point yet? I have not yet. But the voice that I hear, that he's constantly always saying the same thing, and it's such a small, quiet little voice. And it's constant. So I'm going to start following that voice that I heard back when I was doing very well. And I'm going to just see what God does. And I want y'all to join me on this journey, because consistency is my new friend. And I know I've said this before, but like I said, I was going through some things. And I started telling friends lately that, I was homeless at this time. I'm so sorry. I was always punctual though, so that was never a problem. But when I started taking things very hard and very personal, and then when I had to move, which I did move to Jackson, I had to move back to Mississippi and turn down all these beautiful gigs that were all of a sudden offered and given to me on a silver platter. Like, you can have this if you want. Praise God, one of the people there though still is employing me. Praise the Lord. I love you. You know who you are. And I really enjoy working with you, so it's no problem at all. But anyway, all that being, I didn't even do my mask yet. But anyway, y'all stay with me, stick with me. I've already been excited about editing since I've been here. The truck is paid off. There are things that I just don't have to worry about anymore. God has been so good. And he's showing me I can reach you here too. You don't have to do everything in Tennessee. So I don't live in Tennessee anymore. Those of you who've been looking for me, those of you who've offered me to hang out, and I haven't said much of it, is because I was waiting to share this with everybody. But I do now live in Mississippi. I don't know how long that's going to be. Wherever God takes me, I will go, and I'll just take y'all with me. So stick with me, please, in the name of Jesus. Don't go leave me. I am an audio engineer. I'm into that, so I'll be sharing some things about that. That's the other thing. There's a job here for me. That's been amazing. Like, these people work with Lady Gaga. They work with Martina McBride. I mean, just they work everywhere. And I didn't think that was here, but it is. So anyway, as far as I haven't done anything singing wise yet. Haven't found anything like that here just yet. I don't even know. I know Johnny T's is a place I can perform, but as far as like getting with producers and stuff, I don't know. I haven't done any of that yet. So God leads me that way, I'll go that way. But right now he's been having me into him and listening to less secular music and more of gospel, because that's what, whatever you put in your ears and your eyes, that's what you're feeding yourself. That's why fasting is important as a Christ follower, because what you're giving yourself is what you're feeding your spirit. Sometimes I sleep to my Netflix or Hulu or whatever, and some of those things have ads, and that can be dangerous because they could be a horror film that comes up that's a trailer or whatever. You just have to be careful what you're allowing within yourself, because it can become a part of you without you even knowing it. Anyway, that's a whole other video. But thank y'all so much for listening. Please make sure you subscribe to my channel, and just stick with me. Let's see what God does here. Let's see, man. I'm interested. I'm very intrigued to see what God does. But I'm gonna follow him and keep my eyes on him, and be more concerned about my relationship with him everything else that happens is his favor. And that's just what it is, y'all. Of course, you know, too much is given, much is required. Also, you have to work. Faith without works is dead. And that means you have to be working toward a goal. You can't just be sitting around waiting on manna to fall from the sky. Because I ain't seen him do that in the way I read it in the Bible, but I don't think you're doing it right now. You know what I'm saying? So those of you who, if you're deep in God, you understand that. But anyway, yeah, so stick with me, y'all. Go ahead and subscribe to my channel if you haven't. Tell your family, tell your friends. I'm sure there's a lot to be learned. And, well, Happy New Year and Happy New Me. And here we go. See you later.
Lace up, 'cause here we